What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode number 152 of Park to Prem here with Town or Town. The episode numbers are getting a little bit of a mouthful. How are we over 150 episodes in? I'm still struggling to compute it in my mind. We're back again here, and as you can see, it's a bit of a big game for us today. We've got Tottenham, and then we've got a game against Bayern Munich. So strap in, get comfy. Since we were last here, we have played 2 matches in the league, 1 in the FA Cup, and, well, as you will see from these, 3 clean sheets. Yes, we continue to go marching on our merry way. And Jackie Auger, I need to bow down to the Frenchman's feet. I need to apologise for not playing him more this year. A player who's found himself phased a little bit out of the first team, but is still an absolutely immense backup centre-back. And, well, in this first game against Derby County, he showed us what we've been missing. 2 headed goals from him, 2 near-post headers on corners. What a beautiful Frenchman. He just has the goals in his locker. I know when we signed him for £46 million, questions were asked. I feel like it's difficult now to question his contribution. And ultimately, he was the difference maker here. Andy Eric also missed a penalty. We've got an issue with penalties at the moment. I'm not even going to try and hide it. It's been a little bit of a problem. Anyway, the next game we had the only other Premier League game, taking on Brighton at the Amex, away from home. A good result though. Claudio Cancina got us off to a flyer. His goal in the 2nd minute really set us on our merry way. And then Steve Norman, not with the sexiest of goals, not with the prettiest of goals. It was Nico with a tremendous long throw. Norman found himself through. And, well, to be fair, he scored a tidy little one-on-one finish. But, and I will say this now, the pick of the goals from this run of games was this one by Volta. Thunderous effort. It was in the 91st minute. Top right corner. Take a bow, my son. Beautiful stuff there. Anyway, most recently in the FA Cup, a competition which I talked about last time as one where my priorities with it have gone down a little bit. I'm not as bothered about winning it year on year, and taking on Chelsea, I knew it was going to be a tough ask. It was a very close game, as you can see from the stats in the bottom left, however. We edged it out. We won this game 1-0, and statistically, whilst we didn't have as many shots as them, we had the best opportunities. We frustrated Chelsea, limited them to long shots, kept a clean sheet, and away from home came away 1-0 victors. So very, very pleased with that result there. Intriguingly, if we just look at the Premier League table, and intriguingly, good word, you can see here, looking at the league table, Chelsea have played 3 games less than us. They currently sit 7 points behind us. Yes, this is a weird turn of fate. You might remember last year, we were the team chasing. We were the team that had played far fewer games than everyone else. And, well, that's not really the case here. We are laying down a gauntlet and basically telling Chelsea, come on, have a go, see if you can get as many as we've got. And, well, they've got a tough run of games. We talked about it last episode, but our run of games really is going to ease up after today's first episode match against Tottenham. They are the final frontier of sorts, or at least until we play Everton on the last day of the season. But yes, this next run of games over April and the start of May looks very kind for us. Chelsea now look like they are the only team that can catch us. Their fixtures aren't so kind, folks. They have got Liverpool to play in the Premier League. They've got Everton. They've got Manchester United. They've got Man City, Arsenal. Yes, Arsenal are in 10th, but they're still a tough team to face. And, well, when you look at it now, Manchester United, they're 10 points behind us. They do have 1 game in hand. It's not an insurmountable margin, I guess, to overturn. However, I'm backing us. I'm putting my hand down on the table now. I'm showing you my cards. If we don't win the league this year, I've probably bottled it. Please don't. I hope this isn't going to become relevant in a couple of episodes' time. But no, realistically speaking now, this title should be ours. I am closely keeping an eye on Man City, hoping that maybe they end up finishing outside the top 4 and then we can sign Mike Frost. People have mentioned it in the comment sections. I'm inclined to agree. If we can sign Mike Frost at some point in this series, that would be quite a good kind of completed it, mate level of achievement, to sign the best player in the world from Manchester City. At the moment, that feels like it's a little way off, I'll be honest. Although, it's worth noting that we've been very shrewd with our money in recent years. In fact, if we just look at the transfer history, in terms of sales and purchases, you can see for the last 2 years, we've actually made a profit. And this year, we've made over £110 million in sales, because I failed to mention it before, but Raymond Bryan did eventually go to Swansea. I feel like we've pulled their pants down here. They bid £38 million, possibly raising to £43 million. In fact, it's 35, but 38 sounds better. £35 million, possibly rising to 43. Between him and a few other sales, our money's absolutely immense. I'm kind of just sat counting the banknotes right now. We've got this huge sum of money, and whilst I didn't spend it in January, I am already concocting up in my mind different ideas for how we might go about splurging it on one or two huge players in the summer. Yes, I have got my eye closely fixed on Mike Frost of Man City. That would be the signing to make to kind of become the big boys, wouldn't it? Of course, we are technically the big boys in terms of youth development. Our training facilities and youth facilities are the best in the country, and we have got our youth intake on the horizon. Apparently, it's a poor crop of players, which is concerning, but a few players that have been earmarked for greatness, including a guy from the Swedish town of Härnösand. That's definitely not how you say the place's name, but we'll go with it. I believe that is a town in Sweden with only like 12,000 inhabitants. It's quite a small place. I went and Googled it because I was curious. Will he be good? That's the question that we'll probably find out by tomorrow's episode. Yes, we'll have the youth intake, I imagine, by tomorrow. And, for now, we've got to focus on what's ahead of us. We can't get thinking ahead to the next summer, signing Mike Frost, thinking about the youth intake. We need to do the business over these next two games. The first of these against Tottenham. So let's hop straight into it. Of course, against Bayern Munich, we set ourselves up for today's game very, very well. With a really convincing 3-0 victory. We will hope for a similar performance to that against them in the game following this one. But this league game is not an easy task by any means. There is pressure on us. We're going very much full strength. This is the game that I think has to take priority. I don't want to say we are through in the Champions League. I don't want to show that complacency. But given the fact that we won 3-0 at home, we will know that just a single away goal makes it almost an impossible task for Bayern Munich to beat us. And really, the Premier League's the focus this year. We've won everything else. I want this. I want the Premier League. I'm a simple man. Give me a Premier League. It's all I ask for. Anyway, Leskinen in the wide areas, whipping in the ball to Cancina, free header, and Gasparini holds onto it. Not a bad save. The first time they've really been tested in this game, Tottenham. We have been very, very good from set pieces this year. Not just throw-ins, but our corners as well. As you saw with Jackie O'Shea's brace against Derby County, it's been a source of a lot of goals for us. It is, really a hallmark, a staple of our game is just how physical we are. We have a very big group of players, which might sound like a bit of an odd way of looking at things, but whilst we're very, very technically gifted, you look at the actual height of our players. We've got a lot of giants in our teams. Anyway, Andy Eric wins it, bringing it through the middle, going on his lonesome. Go on, Andy, score one of your classics. He lays it to Shvetsov. I love that. I love that. I love that. That is 20 years of Football Manager game development in front of our eyes. A player actually squaring the ball to his teammate. If you told people that 5 years ago, they wouldn't have believed it was possible. But here we are. The future is now. Andy Eric, lovely ball across. Andrei Shvetsov, tidy finish on his left foot. 19th goal of the season. He is still in the running for the Golden Boot in the Premier League, which of course he won last year. I have to hold my hands up and apologise to Shvetsov because I have been very keen to rotate the team this year, which as a result means that he's played a lot less games than a lot of the players ahead of him in the Golden Boot contest. Maybe as the season comes to a close here, that will just become a priority of mine to give him as much game time as possible. Anyway, Leskinen whips it in. It's headed away. Shvetsov back wide to Leskinen. Edge of the box to Matasevic. What can the young Bosnian do? He gives it back to his Finnish compatriot. Ball over hit to Cancina, but he'll keep the ball alive. Now with Andre. What can you do? Back post, Matasevic. There he is. There he is with his height. He's a big boy. He's wearing the number 14 shirt. You might be thinking, great players who wear the number 14. I know some of you are thinking Thierry Henry. I'm thinking of myself. I used to wear the number 14 shirt. He's following in the footsteps of giants, and, well, I'm proud of him for following in my footsteps. Well done, Ilya. What a lovely, lovely header. His 7th goal of the season, which from centre mid really isn't too bad. Nice to see Andre turn provider as well, and we can afford to relax a little bit, dare I say it. We have limited Tottenham's opportunities. We are 2 goals up at the break. We have been the better team. And I feel like now we can just set up cruise control. We can put our feet up on the dashboard, cruise control on our car. We are on our merry way. Nico launching it forward. Shvetsov nods it on. Cancina onto the woodwork, gets the rebound. You're offside. Don't celebrate it. Don't celebrate it. VAR apparently kicking in there, although the linesman did flag for it. Shvetsov with, it wasn't even a flick on, was it? It was a header on goal, I think. Maybe it was a flick on. Either way, it took 2 bites of the cherry for Cancina. And it still didn't count, bless him. Set piece here, Leskinen whip it in, near post. Markovski's there, Andy Eric, how have you missed that? Is it in the net? What is happening? It's offside. Apparently it's offside. I'm not sure it was offside. I will just accept it. A mad scramble in the box. Cancina's not been at the races today, so let's bring in Steve Norman for a bit of game time. Going to move him to advance forward. Nico Roth is apparently looking complacent, so Nico, get off the pitch. Let's bring in Kevin Deacon, a man who respects the Towlaw shirt, a player who plays for the shirt. Doesn't play for his money. Anyway, Leskinen, free kick. Oh my word. Keeper makes a save. Maticevic rebound. Parried out for a corner. 2 great opportunities there. We've hit the woodwork 4 times in this match. And yet it's only 2-0. I don't know if that's shocking finishing bias or just a little bit of bad luck. I guess it could be both. They're not really mutually exclusive. This is just a pointless highlight. Football Manager, don't need to see this. Thank you. They understood. They understood. I've seen enough of my Football Manager this year to know when pointless stuff is being shown. Got one last sub. You know what? Kevin Kaiser coming back from injury. Let's bring him in for Jarno Leskinen. Kaiser, a player who, prior to getting a semi-long-term injury, he was out for 4 weeks, was featuring more in the first team. Going to try and build him some match fitness here. I don't know if he'll be ready for the game against Bayern Munich. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe one last chance for Tottenham here. Rui hits it. Leclerc offside. We've had a lot of offside goals today, as it turns out. Tottenham going to be denied a consolation. It's going to remain 2-0 here. Pretty much the last kick of the game is an offside goal for Jean-Pierre Leclerc. I don't know if that's how you say his name. It sounded French in my head. Anyway, 2-0, good performance, convincing display. What we needed, just what the doctor ordered ahead of that Bayern Munich game. Apparently, Pep Linders is unhappy with the work ethic from his team, which seems a little harsh. But who's watching Andre here? Liverpool are watching Andre. Loads of people are very, very interested in Andre, and I'm not sure I'm a particularly huge fan of it. You can see he's really stepped up his performances. The start of this year, Andre was a tad disappointing, dare I say, and Maticevic was overperforming. Maticevic has actually not had the craziest of run of form until very, very recently. He went for a dry spell over January, but he has now, turned up the heat, I guess, again, in terms of his performance. And it is getting to a point now where I'm sat thinking, do I really need another centre mid? Andre and Maticevic doing the business, and I'm very, very pleased that we have them in our team. They really have been difference makers this year. Anyway, we've got a short break, 3 days until the Bayern Munich game. Let's hop forward to that. Don't go anywhere. I know this game should be said and done, but we always have to be mindful that we could completely screw things up. Let's hope that isn't the case today. Right, okay, here we are. Bayern Munich away. This would normally be a game I go into with a load of pressure on me, that I feel like this is the kind of game that I should be worried about. And maybe it will prove to be that I should have been more worried about it than I was. But of course, we go into this game with a 3-goal lead. It's 3-0 after the first leg, 1 away goal. And we are laughing. Of course, a great result against Tottenham. I have now got one eye ahead to playing Tottenham again in the FA Cup, wondering if maybe I should field a slightly weaker team here against Bayern Munich. But I have lost from 3 goals up before. So with that in mind, I feel like let's not take any unnecessary risks today. I was just sat thinking about the Maticevic and about his development. I will say now, I feel like this screen here for any player who's been at your club a long time is just the best screen to look at when you get to see an entire player's history of their development, where they came from, where they're going. And I know that for some, they'll view him as still not being good enough as a Mazzala to be, holding down a spot in our team. But considering where he came from, considering the mockery that I received for even suggesting that he could play centre mid, I feel a little vindicated, I suppose. He really has been great this year. It's been one of his best seasons ever. And in fact, when you look at his last 2 seasons, he's been very, very good for us, particularly, though, this year in the Champions League. Elsewhere in the team, I've just been reflecting, really. I was thinking about Leskinen and about his kind of history, I suppose. He's had some incredible seasons. His return this year isn't actually too bad, and it's interesting to note that his number of appearances this year is almost certainly going to be the lowest in his last 4 years at the club. With the sheer number of fixtures and with just the strength in depth we have now with players like Kevin Kaiser able to play deep line playmaker. It really is, I don't want to say it's limiting the opportunities that Leskinen's getting, but Leskinen is certainly, he's no longer this irreplaceable figure. And to be honest, Kevin's development this year has really elevated him. I know at the start of the year we kind of did this comparison and I said, yeah, Leskinen is just a little bit better. I feel like when you look at it now, I would probably say that Kevin Kaiser edges it, although it is still very, very close. But, of course, it's a great situation to be in. It's weird to think that Leskinen is still only 24. I will say he is a lot more well-rounded than Kevin Kaiser. Kaiser is just kind of... he's a playmaker and that's it. I say that. He's also incredible at free kicks. But you know what I mean. I don't want to say he's a one-trick pony, but he's not exactly outstanding when it comes to his finishing. And defensively, you know, he could be a little better, I suppose. Although actually defensively, he's not terrible by any means. Just comparing him to Leskinen, the bar is set high. I feel like the centre mid position, it's the position where I feel like there's room for one more player, and we've talked about it before with Justice. At the same time, when you look at the central midfielders we have, it's a pretty blooming good bunch, especially when you consider it's one of the positions where we've really not spent a massive amount of money. You know, usually you have players like we do in centre mid and you've spent a load of money on them. You look at players like McCassie, brought in for £1.4 million and kind of what he offers off the back of that. You look at Kevin Kaiser, signed for £2.4 million. Obviously, Matasevic, a product of the academy. Andre at £13 million. I guess that's not a small fee. And Leskinen, similarly, I think was £20 million, £22 million at the time. But I don't know. I feel like you could easily spend the combined cost of our centre mids and not get a player as good as them, which I think is really testament to how we've gone about our business at centre mid, especially. McCassie, I still don't know where he fits in, but what I do know is he's very, very reliable when we do call him in. Particularly, you can see here in the Champions League, he's had some really good performances. There's even part of me now that's sat there thinking, you know what, there's a few players who are, you know, a little tired like Andre. Why not bring in McCassie? I don't feel like that is necessarily weakening our team. And I guess, as well as all of those, we've also got Volta, who was £13 million. I don't know if he's quite lived up to his billing. I guess you have to look at the fact he's now valued at almost £40 million, which to me kind of suggests that yes, he probably was worth the fee we paid. And in fact, when you look at his average ratings, this year has been one of his best ever seasons. He's been given a lot more opportunities in the first team, and he's taken them very, very well. But anyway, enough of this reflective crap. We need to get into today's game. We're taking on Bayern Munich. I'm a little bit scared for it because there's the potential to completely fluff this up. On the other hand, we should be winning this comfortably, and I think we've got the players to do just that. There is part of me actually that wants to bring in Jackie Auger for Markowski. Would that be mad? It probably would be a little bit mad because Markowski's average ratings in the last 5 games are 7.52 and his average rating this year 7.23. What an incredible season he is having. Under the radar for sure, but yeah, loads of development. He's shown so much progress, the 21-year-old. He's now in his 3rd season at the club. He's really not been here that long. It feels like he's been here an age. You can see in 3 years, he's improved quite a lot for a player who's already as good as he is. Hopefully, he's got more in the tank. Of course, naturally a fullback. The media still think he's a fullback. He is most definitely a centre-back. Look at that. Look at that. It's a beautiful sight. Is there a better sight? I don't think there is. Anyway, let's submit our team for today's game. Cancina and Shvetsov up front. I have been playing Shvetsov and Cancina up top and then Norman and Turnbull together, kind of alternating 2 striking pairs. I'm not entirely sold on that idea. I don't feel like Football Manager looks at the dynamics of partnerships that closely. I have no doubt there is an element of players playing better together with players they have this better gelling with. But I don't know. The approach that I'm taking in terms of alternating back and forth, I don't think is entirely necessary, I suppose. But anyway, bit of a test here. We should be coming through this with flying colours. Interesting to know Justice, the player we were looking to sign. I did cancel the £120 million bid that we made last episode. He is playing for them, although he is a little bit tired. We'll keep an eye on his performances and see how he does for Bayern here. Of course, if we get 1 goal, we're in a great position. If we concede early on, I might start to panic a little. Nacho Martinez with the goal there. It was a really tidy finish. I'm not sure who gave away the ball. May have been Mateus Aurelio. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. Was it Leskinen? It was Leskinen. I mean, that's uncharacteristic. And then defensively, we're just caught all over the place. Morrigan probably shouldn't be beaten at his near post, although it wasn't exactly an easy situation for him to deal with. He did the best that he could, bless him. Unfortunately, it just wasn't quite enough. But we can't panic too much here, although I will start to panic due to the complete lack of opportunities here early on. We've had 50% of the ball. I mean, they're not having a whole host of chances, I suppose. Only 2 shots on target for them, and now we have a set piece. Leskinen whipping it in, near post, headed away. Shvetsov, his efforts blocked. Now we need to transition it into the defence. They are breaking away with Lonning here, bringing the ball forward. There are lots of players queuing up. The tackle is missed, all on his lonesome. Thank you, Morrigan, for stopping a world-class goal from being scored against us. That would have been a bit disastrous, wouldn't it? Of course, 3-1 in aggregate. We just need that one goal, which is the one reason why I don't really want to go on defensive here. If we score 1, they need 4. In the current situation, they need 2. It's kind of, I don't know, the goal for us is very, very valuable, I feel like. And with that in mind, I think it's worth chasing. I feel like Leskinen has had a pretty awful game. Aurelio at 6.2 is pretty awful as well. I'm going to bring in Kevin Kaiser for Leskinen. I don't want him getting sent off. I don't want an extended suspension for the next round of the knockout stages. That's offside, is it not? Summit with it. It's got to be offside, right? That looked a country mile offside, and indeed it is. He was stood right in front of the keeper. We have no one on the posts. I mean, that looks like he's probably onside, but of course the 3D animations you see don't really represent things. If you don't know, the Football Manager match engine is essentially the 2D engine, and then the animations are put on top. So something might look offside in 3D, but actually it's just to do with the animation that's playing, and it's not like there's an issue with VAR, for example. Although in the lower leagues where there is no VAR, there are actually mistakes made from time to time. Anyway, I'm going to take off Andy Eric. He's not the best of games. We're going to bring in Volta. This is his kind of match. Cancina's not had a great game. Turnbull came on off the bench before against Bayern last game and was a bit of a difference maker. We'll bring him on here. Of course, with 20 minutes left, they still need 2 goals just to take this to extra time. If they score 1 here, I may start to panic a little as they are bringing the ball forward. It's now with Feuerhardt, now with Gauthier. Spreading the ball out to Lettery on this left-hand side. He plays it forward to Lonning. All on is Lonsom. Do you get it? Lonsom? Lonning? Okay, let's stop. Katsabis with the ball on this right-hand side. Tackle flies in. Doesn't actually win the ball, though. Now Prego crosses it in. We miss it. Lonning hits it. The flag is up. Was that for the initial contested header? I'm going to assume it is. The linesman, you are doing us some favours. I might have to give him the Man of the Match award here. Apparently Lonning is offside. Okay, he was offside when that ball was whipped in, to be fair. Bit of a weird run he made backwards. I'm not sure where he was there. Don't think he knew where he was really either. I've had lots of warnings in my direction here, but I'm choosing to ignore them. I'm choosing to try and get that one more goal, although at this point it's probably a little irrelevant. Let's just go on cautious. Let's just try and shut them down for the last 5 minutes. Of course, if we now switch to cautious and concede 2, I will never live this down because that would take it to extra time. And, well, there are 5 minutes of added time here, so there is absolutely anything is possible. Anyway, Mateus Aurelio, you've been a disappointment this year, my friend. Make something different happen here. Makassi forward. Oh, my word, that was a thunderous effort saved by the keeper. One of only a few chances we've really had in this game. Aurelio, fantastic ball through Makassi. Not sure if he's the player you necessarily want there. Unfortunately, he missed it. Fortunately for us, though, it isn't going to matter. We knew going into this game we didn't need to be at our best. We were certainly not at our best, but our fantastic performance in the first leg was more than enough. And with that, we are going to get a win in the Champions League, and we make it to the second knockout round, also known as the quarterfinals. We're paid £8 million for that. Apparently Kaiser is unhappy and wants a new contract. Mate, can you sack your agent? Thank you. I mean, Kaiser is very, very good. Very, very good. He signed Turnbull as his agent. So that's Sophia Turnbull. Bloomin' Sophia Turnbull. Now, I don't normally care about agents. This Turnbull lady has had so many of my players over the year and tried to make them force moves. She's got Volta, Soretta, Kaiser. I'm not a biggest fan. I'm not a big... I mean, does she have an opinion on it of us? An indifferent relationship with you? I mean, I find that offensive. She's been known to lord her clients to other clubs. I mean, no, not the kind of agent I was hoping you were going to go for, Kevin. He's currently on £55,000 a week. He's only actually got a 3-year deal left. How much money are we talking here, mate? How much are you expecting? 145. That's a little much. At the end of the year, I might be willing to give him that contract, but I'd want it to go to 2040. Leskinen is going to be suspended, actually, due to an accumulation of yellow cards for the next European game, which is a disappointment. Do we have a date for that draw yet? Do we have a date for the Champions League draw? It doesn't look like there is one just yet. Oh, actually, it's on the Friday, right? We're going to Friday. We're not doing the next Tottenham game, but I feel like we should do the Friday draws. It is worth noting that between the Tottenham match and the match we just played, I did have my youth intake. I'm not going to cover that today because if you don't know, Patreon top tier supporters are able to nickname a regen of their choice as part of the youth intake. If you're curious to find out about that and more about Patreon, obviously there's a link down below. Your support is massively, massively appreciated. But yeah, top tier patrons are able to name a player who comes through a youth intake of their choice. You can find out more info over on the Patreon page. But as a result, some of these players' names might change, which would be a little bit jarring. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because I feel like I'm going to be mashing continue for a while. I'm just going to jump forward to the Champions League knockout stage draw, and well, I'll join you for it in just a second. Let's do this. Okay, so we've gone forward for all the boring stuff. We're here. It's the Champions League draw. I feel like I should be wearing a suit and turning up for a ceremony. The Champions League theme tune should be playing. I don't want to get this video demonetized though, so we're not going to play that, but we are going to hop in for the draw here. So in terms of the teams remaining, you can see we've got Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Dortmund, the sole German team left. Sociedad also in here. That's a little bit of a surprise. Did we lose to Sociedad in the UEFA Cup a couple of years ago? I think we did, so it's a sign that they're clearly progressing as a club. Also worth noting, alongside us, Manchester City still in this competition, and Everton, of course. Everton finished second last year in the Premier League. It was a bit of a shock when they did it. Their media prediction this year was 5th. They're down in 7th, so they're not having a particularly great year. I wouldn't mind playing them, to be honest. I also would quite like revenge against Sociedad. But anyway, automated draw. Let's see who we get. Well, Sociedad are off the table. We're going to be at home, and we're going to be at home against Atletico Madrid. Oh, shall we take a peek at them? Will Barcelona get Real Madrid? They won't. Everton v Real Madrid. It's a Champions League quarter-final to look forward to. Am I right in thinking that there's also the semi-final draw to be done here? Indeed there is. Oh, my word. Turn on the automated draw. So if we can beat Atletico Madrid, we will play the winner of Real Madrid v Everton. Why do I feel like we might be visiting Madrid a little bit regularly over the next couple of weeks and months? Just got a sneaking suspicion, I suppose. But yes, we are going to be taking on Atletico Madrid. Just to have a quick look at them. Yaray Dominguez is their key player. He is a Spanish striker. He's very blooming good. He loves to attempt overhead kicks. Don't know why of all the information on the screen, that is what I'm drawn to. But he loves an overhead kick. They've got Berger up top for them as well, who, if I'm not mistaken, is formerly of Aston Villa. Indeed he is. They signed him for £108 million. That's a lot of money, isn't it? 108 million. Does he look like an £108 million player? I'm not so sure, although they did sign him when he was significantly younger. They've got Anelka out on the right-hand side. No, it's not the Anelka you're thinking it might be. This is a Brazilian Anelka who looks absolutely insane. I actually think I may have looked at signing this player once upon a time, but decided because he played out on the right-hand side and we were playing with wing-backs at the time, it didn't really make sense. But he's a very, very good player indeed. And elsewhere, they've got one real player left in their team, at least the team that played their last game. It's Ryan Cherky. He is formerly of Lyon. I know that because I had him at Lyon Live. He was out with a broken leg right at the beginning of the save game. You can see here he's had a long established career playing for Atletico Madrid. Doing very well. Signed for £30 million way back in 2021. 14 years later, still going strong, and he is their captain as well. So anyway, that is what we'll be back for next time. We've got a Champions League quarter-final to dream of, to look forward to. I hope you guys are ready for it. It's going to be a big one. I will see you guys for that then. This is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.